Okay, so this is a different kind of a graph. This is not like absolute value of x. So let's go investigate. Let's go find or plug in some values of x's to find out what we get. And it doesn't matter if it's written like this or if it's written like this. So if I plug in positive numbers like 1, 2, and 3, I get y values of 1, 1, and 1. If I plug in negative 1, I get a negative 1 out. If I plug in a negative 2, I get a negative 1. If I plug in a negative 3, I get a negative 1. So we get a little bit of a pattern here, and you know you cannot use 0, right? 0 is off limits because that gives us 0 over 0. So what does this graph look like? When I'm plugging in positive numbers, I get the y value of 1, but I can't use 0, so I'm going to put an open circle there. If I'm using negative numbers, I get y value of negative 1, and again, I cannot use x equals 0, so I put a hole there. So this, I am going to call that graph because it just comes up so often. All right, x to the 1/3, inverse of x cubed, so it looks like this. X to the 2/3 looks like this, and we actually give this a name, this point thing here, a name. It's called a cusp. You know that y equal e to the x looks like this, crosses here at 1. You know that ln of x is its inverse, crosses here at 1. You know that 10 to the x is an exponential, it's very similar to e to the x, crosses here at 1. And log, when there's no base there, it means 10, log base 10, crosses there at 1. All right, this graph here is part of a circle. So you know that x squared plus y squared equal a squared is a circle centered at the origin of radius a. Solving for y, so I would get y squared is equal to a squared minus x squared. When you go in and take the square root, that's when you get the positive and the negative. So this is the top half of the circle where the y's are positive. So radius a. This would be the bottom half of the circle, radius a. All right, so more things you just need to know. You need to know how to factor x cubed minus a cubed. So if it's subtract here, it's subtract here, and then it's positive here. And be careful that there's no 2 here, right? Not a 2ax. And here, if it's positive here, it's positive here, and then it changes to negative. And so what I'm thinking of is if it's x minus a squared, that's x squared minus 2ax plus a squared, right? So that's when the 2 comes in. There's no 2 on these. All right, so we're going to get into situations where we're going to want to factor. So this would be x minus 3, x squared plus 3x plus 9 over x minus 3, x plus 3, recognizing difference of squares in the denominator. Canceling, so I get x squared plus 3x plus 9 over x plus 3. So this numerator here, this part here, cannot be factored anymore. All right, so now we're going to learn about our unit circle. Let me get it a little bigger here. All right. So let me start off with the unit circle is on a circle of radius 1. So I'm not going to draw the circle because it'll just get really messy. So this is the point 1, 0. This is the point 0, 1 on the circle. This is the point negative 1, 0. And this is the point 0, negative 1. So we're going to find, well, let me draw the circle in. Okay, so we're going to be finding values and finding the sine and cosine of these angles. So the angles that you'll need to know that we'll use a great deal is pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, and you know this is pi over 2. Oops, pi over 2. So this will be 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 4, and 5 pi over 6. All right, so let me just kind of investigate. So this is 1 pi over 4. This is like saying 2 pi over 4. Here's 3 pi over 4. 4 pi over 4 is pi. So then you can think of this as 5 pi over 4. 6 pi over 4 is 3 pi over 2. Here's 7 pi over 4, and then you get back to 2 pi. All right, so then if I wanted to work on the pi over 6 guys, the pi over 6 is here. Pi over 6 is always just 1 pi over 6 away from the x-axis. So if this is 6 pi over 6, this would be 1 less. That's 5 pi over 6. Pi over 6 more than pi will give me 7 pi over 6. And then here, this is 2 pi, or 12 pi over 6. This gives me 11 pi over 6. So then we have the pi over 3 guys. So the pi over 3 is here. So we're breaking the top half into thirds. So 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3, which gets me to pi. This is 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3, and then 6 pi over 3 gets me to 2 pi. All right, so let me, in the next video, work on finishing off the unit circle with the what the coordinates of the points are.